that he didn't go to some church, he didn't go and talk to anybody. He instead went out, bought himself a Bible. And he opened it up, and he knew that Old Testament, the one thing he knew about the Bible, some of the things, Old Testament was probably not the best for him to read in this sense. So he's just like, I know Jesus is in the Gospels. So he said, I started in Matthew. He's like, I started reading chapter 1, then I skipped over it. All the genealogies and everything. But he started reading through, and by the time he got and finished up and got through the resurrection and ascension of Jesus, he's like, I need this. Yes. I have been missing something my whole life. So it really is having this, just seeing that interview of that guy, and not to mention others and everything, but this one, he was raised and still practicing actual paganism himself. Yeah. It's just like he knew something about the Bible, but it wasn't until not the death of Charlie Kirk, but the reaction of the church to his death that brought him to like, wow. So I'm sure there are many, many, many others, which is exactly as you guys said, Charlie would have wanted anyways. Is for Christ to be praised, for people to come to a saving knowledge of him. Anyways, let's go ahead and, once I find my notes here, be ready. I remember Betty said at one point, whenever she sees pastor's notes, if he's got a lot of notes, sometimes that will signify a shorter message. If she sees only a few, oh boy, this is going to be a long one. Okay, that's just my reference for title. That's all I have for tonight, so that'd be a long one. Anyways, Joshua chapter 2, we are going to, when I say pick up where we left off last week, we're going to do a little bit of review going into it as we continue on in this account. We might look into some Joshua in a little bit here. However, first I want to look at Rahab tonight. Okay, she is very, very crucial when it comes to this. When it really comes to the whole account of Joshua, and then in a few chapters, the falling down of the walls and Jericho being conquered. She plays a very, very large role in it. So let's go ahead and we'll read verse 1, and I'll hit a couple of things real quick that we mentioned last week, and then we'll continue on. Joshua chapter 2, verse 1. And Joshua the son of Nun sent out to Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into a harlot's house named Rahab and lodged there. So as a reminder, I want to give you guys this one little tidbit, that when you look at the original, every other time in the Bible when the word harlot is used, it is referencing a prostitute, a lady of the evening. Okay? However, in this one instance, this is the only instance in the Bible, is where this word harlot is used. It is referencing innkeeper, and that is because in the original language they didn't have a word. The original did not have a word for innkeeper. Okay? So that is the word that was used. But, it really does, it makes a little bit more sense. Okay? You have these two men, these two spies that are sent in. I told you last week, they're going to be men that Joshua really trusts. Okay? One there's a very good chance. Now the Bible does not tell us, but one very good chance was Caleb. Okay, that was one that he would have really trusted. Maybe the one that would take the lead. Originally, when Moses sent 12 spies into the promised land, the two that came back with good report, the two with faith, were Joshua and Caleb. So that's where I'm coming up with. Caleb may have been one of them. Okay, and no matter who it was, no matter who these two were, they would have been trusted men. They would have been men of God. So, going also off of that premise, what would that have said of these men of God if they went into Jericho and went to, I'll put it, to the prostitute's place of business? Okay? What would that have said of these two men? Okay? And being Christian, what we call Christian men. So, even just going off of that, off of that one thing, it makes more sense, and that in this case, it meaning innkeeper. And also, if she's an innkeeper, it would make sense they would go there. Even though they're going in buying, it doesn't mean they're necessarily just going in for an hour or two. Okay, they want to look. It's not going to be necessarily spies like Hollywood, has the vision of this spy. What are they going to want to do? They're going to want to blend in. They're going to want to live like normal travelers and that sort of thing. So, if you're going to be going and staying in the city, okay, if you're traveling yourself, what's one very important thing? A place to sleep. Okay, so it also makes sense that they went there and that as well. Because you notice they weren't going in for a short time. They weren't planning on a very short time. In the sense of, at the very end of the verse, they says, and lodged there. Okay, they were sleeping there. They were planning on staying there. Okay, so then moving on from that though. Okay, every strong city has its own informants. Okay, those that keep their eyes open, those especially for newcomers in town. And somehow these two men that came in that were sent in as spies, they were seen by one of these informants, and somehow this informant knew that they were Israelites. No matter how it was, they knew, okay? They knew that they were Israelites. We see that because right in verse 2, and it was told the king of Jericho, saying, behold, there came men in hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country. Okay? This man, this person, I say man, it could have been a woman. This person came in to the king, this informant, and said, and told him, I saw a couple men come in tonight, and I know them. How I really knew it. I know of them to be of the children of Israel. Obviously, the only reason they are here is to, as they said, search out the country. That means they're coming in as spies. They're coming in to see what their military looks like, coming in to see what their defenses in the city are like, trying to look for weak spots. We see in verse 3 that the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country. Okay, so at this point, the king has sent a messenger. This would have been a royal messenger, so it would have been somebody. Sorry, little bug flying right around in front of my face. This messenger would have come. She would have known this is royal. This is coming directly from the king. Okay, And so she was presented with two options at this point, okay? Whether she fully understood or not, this was, depending on how she answered it, was a matter of life or death for her. Okay? And the reason why I say that is if she goes and hides the men, okay, and it is found out, and say the Israelites did not overcome Jericho, if it's found out, well then what did she do? She committed treason against the king. Doesn't matter what city you're in, the penalty for treason is death. In fact, I'm pretty sure, actually even today in the United States, the penalty for treason, I believe, is death. And probably in most of the world, for that matter. But anyways, so she had that option, or she could have, if she wanted to, she could have gone and said, and she would have known that, said, well, it's not worth it. Maybe they can send in 2 more spies. Maybe they can send in 2 more spies. But it's not worth it, because I know if I am found out, I will die. However, I believe when looking at this, that there is something in her life that has made her question things. She has questions that just cannot be answered by anyone or anything in the city of Jericho. And where I come up with that is the fact of how it is that she answered the question, or when she answered that call. Is okay. So let's go ahead and pick it up. Verse 4. It does not say that the women took the 2 men and handed them over. Okay. She took the 2 men and hid them, and then she said, there came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. And it came to pass about the time of the shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. Okay, so what she said, getting all those words out of there that we don't use nowadays, okay? What she said was she didn't just go and say, oh yeah, there were a couple of guys here, but I knew they weren't of this place, so I wouldn't give them a room, okay? She went beyond that. She went to the point where she fabricated a lie to be able to get them to go off chasing ghosts, essentially. Okay? Chasing men that were just not there. Okay? She's sending them off like you see, you'll see in many different movies. Somebody's looking for somebody, but you don't want them to find them. When they actually went this way, you tell the people, oh, they went this way. That's essentially what she said. Oh yeah, they did stop in, but they left and they went that way. Sending these men off, not making sure to give really make up a good story to go with it, so as to convince these men. And it's at this point that she, where it then goes and tells us how it was she had hid the men. In verse 6, but she had brought them up to the roof of the house and hid them with the stalks of flax which she had laid in order upon the roof. Okay, so what she did, she took the men up there. She had stalks of flax up there that were drying, that would have been drying in the sun. Okay, to then be later on, harvested, used in different things. And the way she had them laid out on the roof was a way that would have looked normal, okay, in the first place. And she was able to hide the men under them without disturbing them. Okay, so that being the case, obviously, the purpose behind that would have been in case of those men, the case of the messenger that was sent, who probably came with guards as well, in case they decided to search her place, they'd go up onto the roof, and it wouldn't be that sort of thing where, if you see in, if you've ever been, even hide and seek, okay, with a little kid, and they go in, get on top of the bed, lay underneath the covers, they can't, I can't see Daddy, which means Daddy can't see me, and then, Daddy walks in, and you can see a perfect outline of the kid laying there, okay? You don't have that, you wouldn't have that sort of situation. They're not going to come up onto the roof if they were searching and go, okay, I see flags, but there's 2 mounds, perfect size, showing that there are, men, there could be men hiding underneath, okay? She did it in a way, she hid them in a way that if it was searched, they would not be found, okay? So she was genuine when it came to wanting to hide them. And then, let's see. And then verse 7, it's just talking about the men who they think that they're chasing after the 2 men. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. That's not talking about the car. And as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gates. Okay? They once these men who were chasing got out of the city and everything, the gates were actually closed behind them at that point. But here they are going out, searching for these men. Of course, the men were not there. And then in verse 8, and before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof. Okay, so now, this account is, the way it's written can be a little confusing, because it jumps sort of back and forth. Almost like when you're watching a movie and it's going from one group of people to another group that's supposed to be kind of happening almost at the same time and that sort of thing. So what we are seeing is now it's going backwards again. Okay? So this is when she has originally hid them underneath the flax up on the roof. She said unto the men in verse 9, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above, and in earth beneath. So first, I'm going to stop right there. She goes and she lets them know, look, I know your God is for real, okay? We have, not only have we heard the stories, okay? Not only have we heard how your God parted the Red Sea, okay? And you guys were all able to cross. He did the impossible, but then the whole Egyptian army is taken out. But then it doesn't stop there. When you are in the desert, okay, you are in the wilderness, and these 2 kings come upon you. What was the words that she used? The end of verse 10. Whom ye utterly destroyed. Okay? It's not that, you won the battle. You utterly destroyed them. Okay? What's that?
There's nothing left.
There's nothing left. Okay? So here are 3 armies. Okay? That they have heard that the Israelites, no matter how anybody wanted to look at it, or how they wanted to conceive it, whether it was the Israelites themselves or if God was in control of it, it doesn't matter when it comes to the people in Jericho, okay? One thing that they knew, and they could all agree on, was that something to do with the Israelites, okay, caused 3 armies to be destroyed. Okay? This is a big thing, and it says and she says how the whole city was afraid. Verse 11, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. Okay? So what does this mean? This big city of Jericho, with with their big walls, with their great defenses, with their military they would have had, okay, with their army, what is it saying? These soldiers who are behind these big stone walls are shaking in their boots. They have lost all their courage. They're just like, oh gosh, here's this Israelite nation, 3-0. Nobody's been able to overcome them. What are we doing here? It was really making them shake in their boots, really made them afraid. Now it is at this point when, so going over what we just looked at with Rahab, remember how I said that there must have been something else. There was something in her heart, something that she had something all along that just she could not find the answer to in Jericho. Okay? And the reason why I said that is once we go and look through what we just looked through with her, she could have gone and, there were multiple outcomes she could have done. She could have come up with many different things. However, you notice one thing, that she did recognize that the Israelites were not the ones that were behind, you could say, those 3 armies being destroyed. They had a hand in it, as in God used them, especially because they did fight, okay, against those, against the Amorites, I think it was, Amorites, yes, the kings, Sihon and Og, when they went against them, and she saw that there was something more than that. And what she would have, the desire that she had in her heart was, this is it. This is the only thing that I have not explored, okay? No one else, for what we can tell in here, okay? No one else in this city knows anything about God, about the one true God, the God the Israelites served. This is my chance to answer these questions. This hole I have not been able to fill in my life, this is my chance of possibly being able to figure out and fill that hole. So she presents something to these 2 men, okay? Is, since I saved your lives, I just have one request. Verse 12. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that you will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token. Okay, hold on, I just want to show you. She uses the words, I have showed you kindness, so I want you to show me kindness. I mean, I think that goes beyond a little bit of kindness, because she is literally putting her life on the line. Okay? It goes beyond just a mere kindness. Oh, I was short $10, so, you gave me $10 so I could pay for my groceries. I didn't have to put anything back on the shelf, okay? That's kindness. I mean, this really, but she, I just think I love the way she worded it.
Something like, I spared your life, not spare mine.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
yes. I'm looking for, I did something for you, and I want you to pay me, essentially the same, but in a way, bigger. Okay? She saved 2 men, okay? She saved those men's lives. She saved 2 lives. She's asking